In the world of Peppa, moms are very important characters, but some of them are missing. Have you ever noticed some of these moms hidden around? Grandma Pig. Grandma Pig is a character you have never seen, and she has been missing for more than 20 years, ever since the show first aired on TV. And yes, we are talking about Peppa's grandma, but not the one you're thinking of. This is Daddy Pig's mother. Both of Daddy Pig's parents are missing, but today we're going to focus on his mom. This character has never appeared in the show, and that's a big problem because, in theory, they live in the same town as the main character. Daddy Pig grew up in the same town, and we see pictures of him as a child in the episode Time Capsule, which proves that his mother is there. So, is Peppa's paternal grandma still alive? We need to find that out and much more in today's video. So grab your popcorn and get comfy on the couch. Another Cinewave is starting. Aunt Dottie. What if we told you that Aunt Dottie is also a missing mom? Surprised? Let's remember that in Peppa's world, pigs are one of the only species that exist only within the main character's family, unlike the others. Just look at the characters that appear at the train stations in the show. One example is the London station scene, where we see a family of rabbits who are not related to Miss Rabbit. This scene is important when talking about Aunt Dottie because she definitely has children. If she didn't, then the pigs would only be those living in Peppa's town, meaning the species would be disappearing. Aunt Dottie must have piglets, of course. She lives in the United States, which is why they are there, and Peppa's other cousins are probably too young to travel, which is why they don't appear in the only episode where Dottie shows up, Thanksgiving. That's why Dottie is a missing mom, because in over 20 years of the show, she only appears in a single episode, which is really sad, don't you agree? Grandma Rabbit. One of the most important mothers in the story is missing, and we are talking about Grandma Rabbit. She has never appeared in the show, but she is one of the most important characters in the entire series. If you've watched the episodes where Peppa travels to other countries, you know that Miss Rabbit has several sisters all around the world, meaning Grandma Rabbit has thousands of daughters, and probably hundreds of grandchildren. She has the potential to be the most important mother in the show, but she has never appeared. Did she run away from Grandpa Rabbit's craziness? Her husband is pretty strange, and we know she is alive because Grandpa Rabbit has said that he himself is 100 years old. So where could Grandma Rabbit be? Mrs. Fox. Did you know that Freddie Fox's mom is missing? We know she works as a nurse at the town hospital and helped take care of Pedro when he was sick. She also appears at the fancy restaurant that the Pig family visits for Grandpa Pig's birthday. But there's a problem with this character. In the episode Families, when Madame Gazelle asks the students to draw their families and talk about who they live with, we see something very interesting. Freddie only talks about his father. He doesn't even mention his mother, and that's a mystery. Does that mean he doesn't live with Mrs. Fox? It's a strange detail in the show. The show never said that Mr. Fox separated from his wife, but even if that were true, it wouldn't make sense, because she would still be Freddie's mother and be part of his life. In other words, Mrs. Fox is a missing mom. Which mom from this universe would you like to be the child of? Comment the hashtag Peppa so we can get to know you. Aunt Pig. Dottie isn't the only aunt of Peppa who is missing. Aunt Pig has also not appeared in the show for a long time. She is the mother of Cousin Chloe and baby Alexander, and unfortunately, she is missing from the show. Being such a close relative of the main character, we should be able to see or know where she is, but unfortunately, that hasn't happened. And what's even worse, Aunt Pig is a character who is taking care of a baby, Alexander, and she could help Mommy Pig, who has now given birth to Evie Pig. The two cousins could grow up together, but the creators of the show seem to have forgotten about Aunt Pig's existence. Will she return in a future episode? Mrs. Mouse. Mrs. Mouse, who is Mandy Mouse's mother, is another character who needs to return to the show. She is missing, and this is a big problem in Peppa's series for a very important reason. Mandy is the only one of Peppa's friends who uses a wheelchair, so her mother is a character who is always taking care of a special child. Mandy helps children understand that someone who uses a wheelchair can live a normal life, and this is a very thoughtful detail from the show for children in our world. Not only those who need to learn this, but also those who use wheelchairs themselves. That's why Mrs. Mouse's disappearance is so strange. She deserves more screen time. After all, as the mother of a special little one, her role is very beautiful and important, don't you agree? Mrs. Lioness. In the most recent season of Peppa Pig, a new character was introduced who should have been in the series since the very beginning. Mrs. Lioness is a character who, in theory, has been living in Peppa's town for a long time. Mrs. lioness is the mother of Lorenzo Lion, and her ex-husband is the same lion who works at the zoo. We don't know when the two separated, but she lives in the same town as Peppa. In other words, she should be present in the story in more episodes, don't you agree? Mrs. Elephant. The mother of Emily and Edmund is a character who definitely needs to return to the story of Peppa Pig. Mrs. Elephant is a character who is the mother of the most intelligent child in the show. Edmund is a genius and will probably become a great scientist in the future, and it would be interesting to understand a bit more about how that family works. Could Emily also be a genius, or is it only the younger child? And Mrs. Elephant, could she be the one most similar to her super intelligent son? We will only find out if the show focuses on some stories about the elephant family and shows a bit more of Mrs. Elephant. Tell us what you think about all of this. The subscribe button is right there, waiting for you. How about clicking and keeping up with everything we post? Ant Sheep. Do you know Charlotte Sheep, Susie's cousin? This character has a missing mother. In the episode Grandma Sheep, we discover that Susie's mother had at least 2 daughters, Mrs. Sheep herself and the character who is Charlotte's mother. Mrs. Sheep's sister is a character who has never appeared in the series, and that is a mystery that has not been solved to this day. Everyone knows there are several mysteries in the Sheep family, but the second daughter of Grandma Sheep is one of the most important ones. Why didn't she help with her grandmother's move? Could it be that Mrs. Sheep was going to move into her house? There are so many questions. Mrs. Giraffe. Mrs. Giraffe is a character who is so absent from the series that almost no one remembers her, but you need to understand that Gerald's mother is a character who definitely deserves more screen time. Let's start by remembering that Mrs. Giraffe is the tallest mom in the entire show, of course because she is a giraffe, but that is exactly why she should have more space in the episodes. With her long neck, she can watch over the children from long distances when they are playing at the playground in town. She can also grab the kids' toys when they are in high places, and even lend her neck to be used as a slide. Mrs. Giraffe works as a waitress at the fancy restaurant in town, which is actually a great job because she can take customers' orders from far away. Mrs. Goat. Mrs. Goat, who is Gabriella Goat's mother, is a character who needs to appear in the series to solve a big mystery. You know that Gabriella is a character who lives in Italy and that Peppa meets during a trip with her family, but Gabriella lives only with her father. Now, a question that needs to be answered is whether Gabriella is the daughter of Mrs. Goat or Mrs. Sheep. If that shocked you and you don't know what we're talking about, we're going to explain what this means. Goats and sheep are very similar animals, which means they could have children together. In other words, Mr. Goat could be Susie's father, just as Mrs. Sheep could be Gabriella's mother. But there is a problem. Susie is a sheep and Gabriella is a goat. If they are sisters, then they should be the same species, right? We explained that they are similar animals, but not the same. That's why Mrs. Goat is a character who needs to appear in the show to finally solve this mystery. Will she show up in the next season? Let's hope so. Mrs. Panda. The twins Peg and Pandora Pig have a mom who should have more screen time. We know that Mrs. Panda is a firefighter who helps take care of the safety of the town. In the episode Families, the Panda girls say that their mom fights fires, but she almost never appears in the show. We see Mrs. Panda in a very quick moment in the episode Science Museum, when Edmund flies in a rocket and crashes into the ceiling of the building. Mrs. Panda needs to return to the show because, as her daughters already explained, she is a firefighter. But almost every time one is needed, it is Miss Rabbit who shows up instead. And that doesn't make much sense, right? The twins' mother is a character who should return to the story, because as everyone already knows, a lot of chaos happens in Peppa's town. That's why it is important to have such an important character watching over things in case an accident happens. And you also need to keep watch, but not over a town. You need to keep an eye on our channel so you don't miss any of our videos. The fun doesn't stop here. There are 2 amazing videos waiting for you on the screen. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.